And coming up, Food and Drugs Authority arrests supplier of unregistered products meant for husband snatchers after video of young women in mad rush for it went viral. We shall share some of the footages with you. Former President John Mahama reminds EC of the need to build public trust to protect the integrity of ballots after closed-door meeting with commissioners. Still to come, NDC opens nomination for parliamentary aspirants amidst reports of attempts to block aspirants in some constituencies. Also coming up, premix fuel will soon be digitized to minimize smuggling, as announced by Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And government hot as road contractors issue ultimatums after besieging sector ministries' premises for the unpaid debt since 2016. Stay with us for details to these stories, plus some international coming up shortly. Hello, good morning. This is TVXYZ News in Brief with me, Charles Akrofi. To our very first story, and a viral video showing mad rush for unregistered products by young beautiful husband snatchers has caught the attention of the Food and Drugs Authority, leading to the arrest of the supplier. The arrest at Medina yesterday by a combined team, including the police CID, followed serious concerns monitored on social media. And the following report, the suspect, popularly known as Mama G, proudly says the product upgrades women's private parts to sweetness, different from other women where they become irresistible to their partners. The Food and Drugs Authority's swift response followed a viral video on social media showing several nice-looking potential husband snatchers in mad rush for a product said to be good for sexual enhancement. Mama G juxtaposed cooking to the woman's private parts, where spices are garnished to make it tasty, and that women need some charm to smear on their private parts and faces to receive the checks, houses, traveling, cars they dream of, among other things. In the video, the young attractive ladies are seen in a queue anxious to take doses packaged in bottles for their mission. The supplier, Elizabeth Togbo, popularly known as Mama G, is heard explaining how the medicine works and its potential influence on men. According to her, the product upgrades women's private parts to sweetness, different from other women where they become irresistible to their partners.
It be a favor oil and a talking do. A herbs, favor oil and a perfume. And a herbs nankasa haban nankasa woko. Now the perfume ne gu. It's a whole extract no. Nipa ni use so that's the effect. If I want favor from you, me ko pay juma me hiesika. If the person has it alone, he or she will give you a favor. You just pray with it. And yeah, easy so be begging pay. It be a 2,000. No way you move 500 and 1,000 amount. So you pray with the favor oil. So nyamin kanipa na kuma. No wants like open. And then sometimes it's not the target, I will target you. Favors can just locate you anywhere in all angles and all aspects.
Mama G, as she's popularly called, was arrested yesterday at a shop near the Rollins Park at Medina here in Accra by the FDA in reaction to concerns monitored on social media. The Food and Drugs Authority, in a statement signed and issued by the Chief Executive, Mrs. Dilis Darkun, said Mama G was arrested with the assistance of police CID. The FDA explains that the products have not been approved by the FDA. Investigations continue ahead of a possible prosecution. Very interesting times in Ghana, and I'm just wondering how married women are reacting and men who may have already fallen prey to these sexual vultures. But let's move on from that story now to the camp of the former President John Mahama, who is urging EC commissioners to engage in activities that would build trust to safeguard the integrity of electoral results. He gave the advice when chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah, and some of the lieutenants met him at his cantonment office as part of EC stakeholder engagements. Present were the NDC chairman, General Secretary, former Chief of Staff Julius Deborah, and other leading members of the party.
Present at the meeting at the cantonment office of the former President John Mahama were NDC Chairman Samuel Fosu Ampofo, General Secretary Johnson Asiedin Ketia, NDC's Director of Elections Elvis Efiye Ankra, former National Security Minister Kofi Totobi Kwache, Ato Ahoy, Dr. Callistus Mahama, and former Chief of Staff Julius Deborah. Among those who accompanied the EC Chair Jean Mensah were Dr. Bosman Asari, who is one of the Deputy Commissioners, Samuel Tete, Commissioner in charge of Operations, Mrs. Adjoa Isuyama Abrifa, a Commissioner, and Sylvia Ano. The meeting itself was held behind closed doors, and TVXYZ News has learnt there were frank discussions. Former President John Dramani Mahama urged the Electoral Commission to ensure a level playing field to court the confidence of all stakeholders with transparent, trust and fairness. He emphasized will make stakeholders accept the outcome of elections, which would help advance peace and development in the country. He noted that Ghana is a beacon of hope globally and gave the assurances that his office and the party would support the commission to succeed to consolidate democratic credentials of the country. NDC Chairman Samuel Ofosu Ampofo said the party is open-minded and will continue to make constructive suggestions to enhance the work of the Electoral Commission. Mrs. Jean Mensah explained that the objective of the visit is part of effort to open up its operations, forge a partnership and channel of communication to reduce suspicion and tension. The EC Commissioner have already met former President Jerry John Rawlings and John Ejiokum Kufuor.
And still on politics, the NDC has opened nominations ahead of parliamentary primaries amid suspicions of attempts to block some interested aspirants.
The nominations, which opened yesterday, July 10, ends tomorrow. The forms are going for 2,000 cedis, and reports monitored across the country suggest most of the incumbent MPs are seeking re-election, while former government appointees are targeting some of the orphaned constituencies. There are already complaints by some of the prospective aspirants who allege their effort to pick nomination forms have been blocked with excuses. Amidst fear, a poorly managed elections could seriously affect NDC's chances of winning the 2020 elections. The filing fee is pegged at 25,000 cedis, but women aspirants and those living with disability will pay half of the amount, which is 12,500 cedis. Filing of nominations between July 18 and 19 for vetting is slated to take place between the 24th and the 25th of July, and 29th to 31st of July will be the period for addressing various appeals that may come up. The NDC blames its huge loss in 2016 on apathy and protest votes by constituents against some aspirants virtually imposed on them. The National Democratic Congress will hold its parliamentary primaries on August 24, 2019.
Moving on from politics to some other stories, and smugglers of premixed fuel may soon be forced to look elsewhere if plans to digitize the distribution of the product takes effect. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, who announced this yesterday, says the technology in premixed distribution will ensure that fisherfolk for whom the product is subsidized and provided for actually get it.
One of the major headaches facing governments in the pre-mixed fuel policy is the diversion of the product to other destinations rather than fishermen, who the heavily subsidized product has been designed for. In the past, several interventions have been adopted, including coloring the product, to introducing tracking devices on tankers and formation of pre-mixed fuel committees at the local level to closely monitor distribution, sale and use of proceeds. But these have not solved the problem. In effect, fisherfolks hardly get the product, and this affects the cost of doing business and their survival at a time the sea is almost depleted. But there is yet another way out, as announced by Vice President at the opening of the 3rd Ghana International Petroleum Conference in Accra on Wednesday. According to him, the National Petroleum Authority will be introducing digital technologies in premix distribution, which will ensure that fisherfolk for whom the product is subsidized and provided for actually get it. He added that the package will also be extended in order to increase efficiency of its delivery to fishermen.
We've got to increasingly leverage on the digital technologies that are available to increase efficiency in the downstream petroleum sector. One of the areas that we have been discussing and taking a decision on is, for example, the distribution of premixed fuel in Ghana amongst the fishermen. This is an area that has really been a challenging one, because there are subsidies to premixed fuel. And whenever there are subsidies, the distribution of the product tends to create rents. And when it creates rents, all sorts of people come in the middle. And the fishermen who this is designed for ultimately don't even get the products, because the products are smuggled to other people who are maybe not even fishermen. So we've been looking at this issue, and we've decided that the best way to deal with this is to digitize the process, so that we can be able to attack or direct the subsidy to each boat that is registered, and we've registered all the boats. So in fact, we sort of had this meeting to look at where we are in this yesterday, and we've given everybody, the whole team, 4 weeks to come finalize, and then we will implement a digitization process in the distribution of premix in Ghana, and we hope to extend it also to fertilizer in next year as well.
Let's now move to Parliament, where the Member of Parliament for North Tongue and Ranking Member on the Foreign Affairs Committee, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, says he's ready to face the sector minister in court, but is yet to be served the writ. Mr. Ablakwa was reacting to news that he and the editor of the African Watch magazine, Steve Mallory, have been sued for defamation in relation to the botched Oslo Chancery deal. Foreign Minister Shelley Ayoko Botchwey is demanding $20 million in damages, but Mr. Ablakwa, who first raised concern, said he rather deserves praise.
And then my lawyers will respond formally. So at this point, just to indicate that I have not been served, and I am not in any way scared or worried about this development. I only carried out my oversight duties without malice. I think that Ghanaians would not have forgiven me if, as ranking member, I did not make these discoveries. And because of my discoveries, Ghana pulled out of the transaction, and we saved over $8 million. And so I would have thought that I would rather be commended instead of the attempts to vilify me and to, as it were, persecute me. But I will wait to be served, and my lawyers will respond at the appropriate.
Still to come, angry unpaid road contractors yesterday besieged the Roads and Highways Ministry, demanding payments of monies owed. Details after this break.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Eti for mfonyina mohwe eye bridge a eda river praso free obuase kumase nu yedibiase de ko odan na bridge na ebu to the extent say boys bi na ewo bridge no ho a omudi ndua hyehyehye dade bridge na ebuase o ohwe mfonyina ese de bridge ni si ebu aye na the passengers na nyina duru obi esi fam na car no afa so saa e slope to the extent say nipa no kura wo nam so a usuro se bibi ebetimi esi enso aban mu mpanifo eti o hwe bridge we passengers in the sea from na omunam no car no mitimu bi enti aban mu mpanifo hwe sa bridge we enso makotena parliament say on pay $200 million e dia kosi chamber foforo atenam wa bra omo amutu abama wo no ordinary Ghanaians omo nwunu omo hwe the bridge na aye si the sea slope aye a car no enam ho a eba enti obi ahwe sa mfonyini bi na mo share sa picture yi na omo hu say amanfo eto abama wo no omo so asetena mu hu hia a o say omo dwene omo ho pa car no na eba no na wo hwe si de bridge ya se slope a o say boys no bi na direct car no ansa na etimi afa bridge no so won wo gina so kura si de se wo so no pa to mo hwe sa mfonyini bi $200 million chamber ne de enya de a wo say ba so edam ase
Kwani kaya
And you welcome back. This is TVXYZ News in brief. Moving on to some other stories now. And angry unpaid road contractors yesterday besieged the Roads and Highways Ministry demanding payment of monies owed. Close to 1.9 billion cedis since the NPP assumed office. Members of 4 road contractors associations, clad in red and chanting war songs, issued threats and virtually held staff of the ministry hostage for close to 3 hours yesterday.
It was a chaotic scene as some of the members of the 4 associations of road contractors vented out their frustrations to journalists. Their action at the forecourt of the road ministry attracted several onlookers and staff. Those involved include the Progressive Road Contractors Association, Ghana Road Contractors Association, Private Road Contractors Association, and Asklog Contractors Association. Clad in red, the aggrieved road contractors accused the sector ministry of killing their businesses. Some chanted and threatened to block major highways if immediate steps are not taken to release monies for payment.
What you call what you call what road fund what your payment every month. And yet when your payment or 1 year. Now what's selecting you pack a cabin or this kind of one. Yenzi Yenimba Yenziza about summer. One channel can no be because road fund the payment in Aquado, finance and come finance on come as some of your road fund as some of your can. Minister, why your payment or no payment in another 1 year. What friend as usual.
TVXYZ News Wisdom Hedejome, who was there, filed this report.
Road contractors are angry with government over their failure to pay them their monies. They say they have worked for the past 3 years and no money has been paid to them. This has resulted in their presence here. They tell me they have had series of engagements with the ministry, but that has fallen of deaf ears. They cannot wait any longer. Many say they borrowed money to build the roads, and yet they are seeing no result from that. As you can see, this particular man is not very happy with the situation. He's actually saying that they drink from a brim, and so they have to be faithful to them and pay their monies. And so it's not a very, very pleasant situation here. Yesterday, there was a massive demonstration against hardship in the country. And so this you are seeing clearly tells you that the situation is not very good for them. So why are you so angry?
Master, I'm hungry. 3 years now, I'm working. I've been preparing my certificate. 3 years now, they haven't been paying me. If I come to the ministry, they say, oh, go. It will come 3 years now. Master, they have sacked my children for school fees. My rent, I can't pay my rent. My wife, everything has been blocked for my life.
So what really do you do in terms of road construction?
As at 2016, as at now, local contract, there is no any local contractors even go to site work. Because the first contract they give us, we have to find money to do it. But as soon as 2016 as at now, they haven't paid any local contractors. They were doing selective payments.
If you go around and you interview most of the contractors, some of them will tell you that their contracts were awarded under this government, yet they have not been paid for well over 2 years. You understand? It's something that has gone wrong, and we must speak about it. Contractors are falling sick. Why are they falling sick? Because they are not being paid. There's pressure coming from workers. And when I say workers, I'm talking about labor generally. I'm talking about labor in terms of carpenters. You're talking about steel benders calling you. You're talking about the people who go into the field and do the digging. You're talking about banks following after you and all of that.
And the meeting purposely for the executive. But very unfortunately, a week today, the contractors had beefed this place, and the minister told them that he will meet them today. So they didn't know the difference between meeting the executive and meeting them. So in fact, in actual fact, since 10 o'clock up to now, 1 o'clock, there is no news, and we are not happy at all.
So the contractors were expecting to hear some good news, rather met some disappointing ones, and they are going home unsatisfied. But they are hopeful that when a meeting date is conveyed to them on Friday, by next week, their problems will be addressed. For TVXYZ News, Wisdom Hedejome. ministries.
Now, the action by the road contractors raises eyebrow, particularly claims that they have not received payment for the past 3 years. This is because of earlier announcements and promises by government. TVXYZ News has learned an emergency meeting called by the minister to calm nerves was boycotted by some of the leaders present, and a new date will soon be announced for discussions on a payment plan.
The decision by 4 associations of road contractors on Wednesday comes barely 3 weeks after an ultimatum was issued amid threat to organize mass protests nationwide. Staff of the sector ministry were almost held hostage, and they angrily demanded immediate release of funds to pay the over 1.9 billion cedis owed. Last month, the contractors alleged no payment has been made since the NPP assumed office, and their plight has been compounded by banks giving them sleepless nights. This is in sharp contrast with the impression created by President Akrofi when he addressed the nation as far back as January 2018.
Contractors, I am paying them. In 2017, nearly 1 billion cedi, of which the Government of Ghana provided 300 odd million, and the road fund provided some 660 million. Of the 1.6 billion owed road contractors was cleared. In January this year, we have dispersed 125 million out of the remainder of 600 million to the contractors. Additionally, we have paid 826 million of the 1.2 billion loan contracted by the previous administration, for which the road fund was used as collateral. It is important to note that all these debts were accrued under the previous administration. I will also point out that much of the statutory arrears that we met have been cleared.
But road contractors are demanding about 1.9 billion cedis in arrears. It will be recalled that in December 2018, government announced that it will release 2 billion cedis to settle some of the arrears. In May this year, Sector Minister Kwesi Amoakwata, at one of the Meet the Press series, said President Akrofi has directed the Finance Ministry to pay 1 billion cedis to contractors working on road projects. The contractors say enough is enough, and they can no longer entertain what they describe as failed promises. Their protest at the ministry, according to the organizers, is the first stage of a series of action planned to power pressure on government. Some vow to continue picketing till they hear some good news. TVXYZ News has learned the minister, Kwesi Amoakwata, has promised a meeting as soon as possible to respond to their concerns. Nene Emmanuel Mate is the chairman of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industries.
The Deputy Minister for Finance was there, so we have rescheduled the meeting to next week. Friday to the date will be firmed up on Friday, so that firmed up and communicated to us on Friday. So next week we'll be meeting. We are going to discuss the issue dispassionately, and for us, we are interested in payments. So give us a roadmap of how the payments are going to go.
Now let's take you around the world and bring you up to speed with some international developments. And Britain's Ministry of Defense says Iranian boats tried to impede a British oil tanker near the Gulf before being driven off by a Royal Navy ship. According to official sources, HMS Montrose moved between the 3 boats and the tanker British Heritage before issuing verbal warnings to the Iranian vessels. The action comes amidst tension building up over the US-Iran row and threats by the Middle Eastern country to increase the Iranian activities. An official spokesperson, according to the BBC, described the Iranians' actions as contrary to international laws. Iran had threatened to retaliate for the seizure of one of its oil tankers, but denied any attempted seizure. And that's it by way of TVXYZ News in brief. But before we go, a quick look at the headline stories. And Food and Drugs Authority arrests supplier of unregistered products meant for husband snatchers. Former President John Dramani Mahama meets EC commissioners, urges them to build public trust to protect integrity of ballots. And NDC opens nominations for parliamentary aspirants. Remember, there's always more news at my xyzonline.com. My name is Charles Akrofi. Enjoy the rest of the day.